This is Hashtag History, episode 87. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Leah.
And something that I love so much about doing this podcast is the opportunity to debunk narratives that we've been told for years and years. We talk about it all the time that history is written by the victors, it's whitewashed, it's misconstrued, and oftentimes actual facts are discarded in place of more salacious or sometimes more socially acceptable history. This goes for narratives in the pop culture space too. How many times have we heard a story about a celebrity or about an infamous lawsuit that is so wild and outrageous and we believed every word of it? Yeah. I was actually trying to think of an example when I was putting together this episode. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but there has to be things like about celebrities that I've believed.
Oh, yeah.
And then found out later there was no truth to it at all.
Yeah.
That's what I'm really excited to do with this week's episode, because I think the topic that we are talking about this week is one that we all know about, but not many people know the true story behind all the myths and misconstrued beliefs.
Oh, I can think of an example.
Tell me.
When someone found like a thumb in their soup or something.
In their Wendy's chili.
Chili, yeah.
Not true.
Not true.
No.
Is it really? Okay.
No, it's not true.
See?
That was perfect.
See?
Perfect. This week, we will be discussing Liebeck versus McDonald's restaurants, more commonly known as the McDonald's hot coffee case. In 1992, a 79-year-old woman named Stella Liebeck bought a cup of coffee from a McDonald's drive-thru in Albuquerque, New Mexico. While in her car, she spilled the coffee in her lap and suffered severe burns. She took this matter to court and would be awarded close to $3 million. When the story first came out, the general public was told that Liebeck was lawsuit happy. If someone can get nearly $3 million for spilling coffee on themselves, coffee that she had to have known was hot while she was driving and not paying attention, that just goes to show that anyone can sue anyone for anything.
Yeah, we're sue happy.
We're
happy?
Lawsuit happy.
Lawsuit happy here in the U.S.?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, we nowadays give away a Stella Awards named after Stella Liebeck for each year's most frivolous, ridiculous lawsuits.
Oh my gosh.
Over the course of this episode, though, we will learn that nearly every single one of those quote unquote facts of the case that I, kind of just breezed through were in fact false. I won't give away any of the details yet because I want to break them down over the course of this whole episode. But just know that nearly every detail you think you know about this case is about to get debunked. But before we get into the debunking, let's get into this cocktail. Yeah. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Leah.
And this is Hashtag History,
the podcast for both history nerds and history haters alike,
where we dive into history's greatest stories of controversy, conspiracy, and corruption.
So first off, we have to give a shout out to this week's cocktail sponsor,
Yay.
the Existential Ginger.
Yay!
For the second of a total of 3 sponsored cocktails.
She's very generous.
Very generous. Thank you.
Thank you.
She left us a very sweet message, which we read in our last episode. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So for this episode centering around the McDonald's hot coffee case, I just very simply wanted to make a delicious spiked coffee for us, utilizing my semi-fancy espresso machine.
These were the things I was hoping you were going to do. I was like, I'm hoping it's going to be a coffee cocktail.
Yes.
If it's not, that's weird. And I was hoping you were going to use your fancy machine.
And I am here to make dreams come true.
Yep, you did.
So I did some steamed coffee, creamer, or milk. I just did plain milk this time. Coffee or espresso, Kahlua, a little bit of rum, and then topped it off with cocoa topping.
It looks so good. I can't wait to post this picture. It's one of the prettiest looking cocktails we've ever had. It's beautiful.
Oh, yeah. I'm excited.
Wait.
Clinkies?
Yes. She tried to drink it without cheersing. It's like she's never done this podcast before.
You definitely taste the Kahlua and rum.
This is so delicious.
And notice it's not too hot. I purposefully didn't steam it too hot.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can hold it, which is more than...
It's strong.
It's really strong.
Sorry.
No one never apologize for something like that.
Whoa.
Oh, your rating.
Oh, yes.
We really have never done this podcast before. We forgot to do a rating.
What are we doing? It's honestly not my favorite, just because, I don't know, there's something funky going on with it. 6.
7.
7?
Yep.
We don't usually differ very much.
No, we don't. I'm obsessed with it, but also I got the prettier cup between the two, so maybe that's what it is. Is like I feel very fancy. Do you think if you were drinking out of this one, you would have given it a higher rating? Yeah. See, a lot of it is aesthetics for me. I'm a very shallow person.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with it.
No.
It's just a little stronger than I want it to be.
It's amazing.
Okay.
So this isn't a cocktail that you looked up. You were just like, let me make a coffee cocktail.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's the McDonald's coffee cocktail.
Yeah.
Minus McDonald's coffee. And steamed to an appropriate temperature.
I do think that my espresso machine is called like the McCoffee machine, now that I think about it.
That's on brand.
Oh my goodness.
Amazing.
Look at me.
All right. So what really happened in the infamous McDonald's hot coffee case? Are you familiar?
I mean, obviously not, since you're saying everything we've heard isn't true.
Okay. So like, what have you heard? What do you know?
Not a lot. Just that like it 3rd-degree burns on this woman and she sued. And I don't, honestly, not. That's pretty much it.
Yay. That makes me happy, actually.
Yes, so I will be learning a lot.
Beautiful. So it was February 27th, 1992, and a 79-year-old woman named Stella Liebeck and her grandson rolled through a McDonald's drive-thru in Albuquerque, New Mexico, where she got a 49-cent cup of coffee.
Albuquerque.
I did look up like inflation, and it's only gone up. Well, I mean, only. I guess 50 cents is a lot, but you can still. I mean, just the fact that you can get a cup of coffee, which granted I know is just black coffee, but $1 at McDonald's.
Really?
Mm-hmm. It's $1 for just like
I guess that's
premium
true.
Roasted coffee.
Yeah, just
$1
plain.
if you get a small $1.
I always go for their like.
Yeah, I was like, not that you would.
Yeah,
which is why we don't know. We get the $6 Frappuccino, or at least that's what I get.
It's usually just a vanilla latte for me.
So $2, $3?
It's like 4.
4.
Yeah,
my coffee is never under $6. It would appear that adding sugar and syrup and little curlicues to the top adds on money.
Weird.
Yeah. Her grandson was actually one that was driving.
Okay.
And he parked the car after picking up the coffee so that his grandma could add cream and sugar to it. Okay. So that's the first major misconception about this case that we've already debunked. I think, when you think about this case, your first assumption is that Liebeck was the driver and that she was, in fact, driving when she spilled the coffee on herself. That was not the case. Something else very important that we have to address is this. They were driving in a 1989... Uh-oh.
No, I just thought you were going to say it was
a Ford Pinto.
A Ford Pinto.
They were driving a Ford Pinto. And that was the end of the story. She makes that joke because we did a Ford Pinto episode a few weeks ago that was really insane. If you haven't listened to it yet, go check it out.
Yeah.
No, they were driving a Ford. This was a Ford Probe.
Okay.
It was the 1989 Ford Probe. And this particular model was missing a very important feature that I think most of us take for granted nowadays. So I'm going to have you check out a picture and see if you can spot the missing feature for our listening audience. So typically, I know, if someone were showing me a picture of a car, I'd be like, oh my God, what am I supposed to look for here?
Yeah.
If you're picking up a drink through a drive-thru.
Cup holders.
Cup holders.
Yeah.
Non-existent. Cup holders didn't become a standard in automobiles until after 1983. And it took a handful of years for, all makes and models to catch on. I mean, think about it. Although we had drive-through dining back in the 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s, it wasn't until the mid-1970s that it was really popularized in America as a means of eating while commuting. The expectation of most previous drive-through restaurants was that you rolled through the drive-through, but then found somewhere to park or took the food home with you before you began consuming it. I mean, can you even imagine the audacity of not eating while driving?
At the very least, you grab a couple fries on the way home.
That's
minimum.
You have to.
Even though they're scalding hot and burning the flesh on the inside of your mouth, you still have to have a couple of them.
I mean, I can't imagine, even if it was the Jack in the Box that's right here by your house.
Yeah.
It's 5 minutes from your house.
How are you not going to grab a fry?
How are you not grabbing a fry and a sip of your soda on the way back to the house? The audacity.
It's crazy.
With the consuming while commuting popularity of the mid-1970s came the need for automobile innovations like the cup holder They really weren't a necessary standard before. So that right there is another one of the major misconceptions of the McDonald's hot coffee case that has been debunked, or at least, more thoroughly explained. Due to the lack of cup holders, Stella Liebeck had to carefully balance the hot cup of coffee in between her legs while she sat in the passenger seat in order to dispense the cream and sugar into it. While taking the lid off the cup, she spilled the entire contents of the cup onto her lap.
I just, before going on, when you said that, I pictured, in those commercials that are selling.
Oh my God.
Like you're overreaction.
As seen on TV.
Yeah, like ads.
Where,
for like a product that nobody needs.
A product that no one needs and like incompetent humans using them, right?
Like they open their cupboard and get a thing of Tupperware, and then the entire thing, they thrust their hand into the Tupperware, and it all just comes pouring out.
It all comes pouring out, and the screen always turns to like black and white when that's happening, right?
Then the text comes at you, "Oh no," or something like that.
Yes. It's actually, this would be a very sad but accurate infomercial. So she spilled, not a little, but the entire cup of nearly boiling hot coffee onto her lap.
Yikes.
If there can be anything worse than that, Liebeck was wearing sweatpants, which meant that when the entire contents of the cup of coffee spilled onto her lap, the sweatpants immediately absorbed the liquid, retaining the heat against her skin. So I'm going to assume then you've never seen the pictures from this incident?
I don't think so.
Okay. We're not going to post them on Instagram, and I'm not going to force you to look at them because they are incredibly graphic.
Oh, okay, so that's severe.
It's horrible.
Was she old?
She's 79.
Old? Okay.
So yeah, she's frail. She's little. Her skin is probably thinner.
Yeah, I was going to say. Not that that's okay, but holy
Yes. Yes. So if you've never seen them before and you can stomach it, I do encourage you to check them out, because after viewing those pictures, there's no way you can argue that Liebeck was not severely, severely injured as a result of this incident.
Yeah, I just checked it out, and my gosh.
They're horrible. In fact, her doctor would later testify that her injuries were some of the worst burns he'd ever seen over the course of his career.
Oh, Stella.
She received third-degree burns from this cup of McDonald's coffee that would require her to stay in the hospital for over a week as she underwent skin grafting to repair the damage that had been done to her thighs, groin, and butt. As a result of these injuries, she would require care from her family after the hospital stay and would be permanently disfigured for the rest of her life.
Oh, Stella.
It's so horrible when you see those pictures.
Yeah.
So we do have to play devil's advocate here and look at things from the other side, because yes, coffee is hot. Mm-hmm. In fact, coffee can be really freaking hot. Additionally, there was a warning label on the McDonald's coffee advising the consumer that the contents of the cup were very hot. Although it should be noted that this caution was printed in the same color as the color of the cup and therefore not particularly easily visible.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention that, though, because I think that's another thing to debunk about this case. Some people have said, they're under the belief that
it's because of this case.
Exactly. That we put those warning labels on.
I totally thought that.
They were already there.
Okay.
Not super easy to see, but they were there.
Yeah.
And then to, kind of insert my own little tale here. I do recall one time I was with my mom. We were on a bit of a road trip, and we stopped at a gas station where I picked up some gas station coffee, which yum. Super gross. Pretty much immediately upon getting back in the car, while I was still parked, the lid shifted on the cup. I'm the one that put the lid on, because you fill up your own cup of coffee at the gas station. But the lid shifted, and I dumped a bunch of coffee onto my hand. And what I specifically recall about this incident is I was wearing my Fitbit on my wrist, and my Fitbit band, I always have one of the, like metal material ones.
Yeah.
So when the coffee hit the metal band, the band literally felt like it turned into fire, and it scalded my wrist. I had to rip off my Fitbit right away, where I found that the heat that had been retained in the band actually left a mark on my arm. I tell this story simply to say that all restaurant and quick stop coffee is hot. Sometimes it's stupid hot.
Yeah.
And there was a cautionary warning on the top of my cup as well. But things happen. And while the coffee that I spilled on myself was really stupid hot and it did leave a mark on my wrist for a few days, it didn't significantly burn me. I didn't have to go to the hospital. I don't have permanent scars from this incident. So how freaking hot was this McDonald's coffee?
That's okay. I've worked at a coffee shop.
Yes.
And I think they even made us sign like waivers and stuff saying like, here are all the things. If you got burned by it? If we got burned, we wouldn't sue them or something. And there was one time where this girl freshly brewed coffee and she like dumped it on herself while she was moving the container.
Oh.
Dumped it on her chest and her
my
boobs.
God.
All of this is to say, even that, like, I think she got like first degree burn, like, and that was freshly brewed coffee.
Yes. So how hot was this coffee?
Yeah.
It also, there's a lot of factors that matter is like how hot was the coffee? How long was it on the body, right? Because if you can remove it from your body quickly, and also we'll get into this a bit more, there's math and science behind. If it is this hot, you have this many seconds before you get third degree burns.
Yeah.
If it's this hot, you have this greater amount of seconds, to get it off of your skin.
So don't wear sweatpants, guys.
Yeah. Don't wear what I live in.
Yeah, don't wear
what I'm wearing
she
right
said
now.
As we both are wearing sweatpants.
With my chilled coffee, though. So the coffee that Liebeck spilled on herself was roughly 190 degrees Fahrenheit. It has been determined that spilling liquids at that temperature on oneself can cause third degree burns in a matter of 2 to 7 seconds. So for reference nowadays, while Starbucks hot coffees can be served at nearly 170 degrees Fahrenheit, more often than not, their hot coffee is served at closer to 150 degrees. Or if you're a child, Starbucks actually has specific rules in their manual to serve children's hot drinks at around 130 degrees.
It was 135 for us, but yeah.
Wait, if it was a kid?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Kid's temp was 135.
How interesting. So for those of us that make our coffee at home, the average temperature of our coffee is about 135.
Okay.
Like you were just saying.
Okay.
So why is McDonald's coffee so hot?
Yeah.
McDonald's defended their decision to serve such hot coffee by explaining that basically the hotter the coffee, the fresher the coffee. The longer period of time that coffee sustains heat, the longer it stays fresh. Ultimately, this helps save the McDonald's corporation money. So the hotter the coffee, the fresher the coffee, the less money McDonald's is spending on more coffee.
Yeah.
Later, during the trial, McDonald's would admit that their coffee was, quote, not fit for consumption, unquote. But that was because McDonald's contended that their coffee isn't meant to be consumed immediately. Rather, they contended that the majority of coffee consumers purchase their coffee from a drive-thru, but then don't actually drink it until they have reached their destination, at which time the coffee is cooled to a safe temperature. From personal, extensive experience purchasing coffee while commuting.
Not true.
Not true. I have never once in my life waited until I reached my destination to drink my coffee. In fact, that's like one of the perks of picking up coffee is like sipping it while you're driving.
Yeah, for sure.
And I didn't really include this in my notes, so I don't have extensive research on this particular component. But, McDonald's says that.
It's clearly a defense.
And he was in defense, but then it was revealed that they had done zero research into do commuters drink coffee while they're commuting? Yes or no? It's just something they said.
Yeah.
Since I did just mention the eventual trial, let's dive into that component of the story. Initially, Liebeck wasn't trying to have some long, drawn-out legal battle with McDonald's, which again, I think is one of these misconceptions about the case, that she wanted to take down a big corporation and just get money, right? Rather, she was just hoping to have her medical expenses covered. Medical expenses that had already exceeded $10,000 and were expected to continue to accumulate. In addition, her daughter had suffered a severe loss of income because of having to take off time from work to care for her mother. In response to a letter Liebeck wrote to McDonald's requesting $20,000 to help cover these expenses, McDonald's responded by offering Liebeck a mere $800.
That is a slap in the face.
It's a slap in the face.
Especially because $20,000 to McDonald's is probably actually not a lot.
I'm glad you said that, because the next little bit that I have in my notes here is, granted, this incident happened 30 years ago, but for a company, I looked up current stats, a company that we know nowadays makes an average of $56 million a day. Per day. It's disrespectful to offer someone $800 for medical expenses that you knew at which point had already exceeded $10,000.
Yeah.
And thus, the Liebeck versus McDonald's restaurants lawsuit began. We've told you all before, time and time again, that we are a part of a book club.
What? We have? Have we mentioned that?
Yeah, I think at least 500 times.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Something else we mentioned a lot is how, as grown adults with full-time jobs, a side podcast gig, and other everyday responsibilities, it can be hard to find the time to read.
Right. So that's why we oftentimes use audiobooks, and Audible is a great resource for that.
Audible is the leading provider in spoken word entertainment and audiobooks. They have titles ranging from news, self-development, business, fiction, and more.
Not only do they have audiobooks, they also have podcasts, wellness guidance programs like guided meditations, and more.
The best thing about Audible is that you can download titles to listen to offline, anytime and anywhere, across all devices without losing your spot.
And Audible has thousands of titles for you to choose from. Maybe pick one of our recent favorites, such as The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix.
Catch and Kill by Ronan Farrow.
That was a good one. I love that one. Try out a free 30-day trial now when you use our link at www.audibletrial.com/#history.
That's www.audibletrial.com/#history.
Liebeck retained attorney Reed Morgan, who sued McDonald's for gross negligence in addition to selling coffee that was, quote, defectively manufactured, unquote. Morgan and McDonald's went back and forth for some time, even like involving a mediator, but McDonald's continued to refuse to settle.
It's just weird.
It's weird, right?
It's a lot like the whole Ford Pinto thing, where it's just like, if you would just
if you would just fix the problem from the onset.
Yeah.
And if you're not going to do that, why wouldn't you cover? She's just asking for medical expenses to be covered. $10,000, $20,000 to a corporation like McDonald's
is nothing. It's just weird.
Yeah. On August 8th, 1994, the trial began. Over the course of this trial, it was revealed that McDonald's was aware of more than 700 cases of injured customers over the course of the past 10 years as a result of the too hot coffee, and had in fact settled with some of those people. Some of these cases even involved children and infants. And these cases didn't always necessarily occur as a result of the customer accidentally spilling on themselves. There were even some cases of McDonald's employees accidentally spilling the scalding hot liquid on their customer.
Oh.
On their boobs.
Like my coworker did.
No. I get you were like nodding like yes, and then I didn't give you the answer you wanted. Oh my God. Imagine being that person, like the employee that accidentally spilled scalding hot liquid on someone. That's such an awful position to be in. A consultant from McDonald's countered this by saying that for every person injured by McDonald's scalding hot coffee, another 23,999,999 people did not sustain injuries.
That
makes it okay.
Stupid argument. That's like saying for every one person that dies in a car accident for not wearing a seatbelt.
Yes.
Well, there's 100,000 other people who don't die.
So it's not important to take certain safety precautions that would honestly be so easy to fix and just do.
So dumb.
Yes. When weighing out the odds that way, McDonald's continued to contend that they were not selling a dangerous product to their consumers. In fact, during the trial, McDonald's bragged about the 700 cases of injured customers because this number was much lower than what they had expected.
Great.
That's so gross, right?
Yeah.
Like, only 700 people were like severely injured, including infants? Woo!
Oh my gosh.
Horrible. The jury heard from experts of mechanical and biomechanical engineering who testified that the temperature McDonald's was selling its coffee at was unacceptable. There was actually this really great exchange between a quality assurance manager for McDonald's and Liebeck's attorney. The quality assurance manager, he testified that, McDonald's has other things to worry about than this. For example, any food served at over 130 degrees Fahrenheit could technically be hazardous, as they could, burn the mouths and throats of their consumers if they're consumed immediately upon sale. In response, Liebeck's attorney was like, cool. So you basically just admitted by way of that attempted deflection that serving coffee at 190 degrees Fahrenheit is indeed a burn hazard.
Yeah.
He was kind of trying to deflect or negate by saying anything could be hazardous. For example, we sell our foods at 103 degrees, which burns the mouths of our customers.
Yeah.
He's like, cool. So then something at 190 would likewise be a burn hazard.
Yeah.
Liebeck's attorney also demonstrated evidence that other local restaurants were serving their coffee at an average of 20 degrees Fahrenheit cooler than McDonald's. He proved with expert testimony that if McDonald's would just lower their temperature by 20 to 30 degrees, it would allow the consumer a greater period of time, approximately 20 seconds, to remove the burning coffee from their clothes or skin before it did any real damage. And that to me is just, why wouldn't you?
I just can't imagine that those 20 degrees actually makes that big of a difference in the longevity of how long the coffee is good for.
Yes. And to me, it's such a huge difference. It like 2 seconds to 20 seconds to like strip your clothes off really quickly.
Oh, yeah.
If I had 2 seconds to get it off before it gave me third-degree burns, I would have third-degree burns. I wouldn't have gotten my Fitbit off.
Yeah.
I'm at a loss for words here.
Yeah.
Why would you not?
Mm-hmm.
So I think for anyone that knows the true details of the case, you can feel deep empathy for Stella Liebeck and likewise deep resentment for the greediness and corruption of McDonald's.
Mm-hmm.
With all of the facts presented, the jury certainly felt this way about the matter too. One juror was quoted as saying, quote, "There was a person behind every number, and I don't think the corporation was attaching enough importance to that," unquote. Another juror was quoted as saying that, quote, "The facts were so overwhelmingly against the company," unquote. And finally, yet another juror was quoted as saying that McDonald's had a, quote, "callous disregard for the safety of the people," unquote. With all of this in mind, the jury would eventually award Liebeck $200,000 in compensatory damages. But because they found Liebeck to be 20% responsible for what happened to her, after all, she did spill it on herself while balancing the coffee between her legs, the compensatory damages were reduced to $160,000. That to me, I mean, that's not too crazy. Like, she was partially responsible for what happened to her. And fortunately, because this case happened where it did, she still could receive a percentage of those damages. In some states, if the plaintiff is found even 1% responsible, no compensatory damages are awarded.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's fair. Like, yeah,
I think that's fair too.
Yeah.
Additionally, Liebeck was awarded punitive damages. So for any law nerds out there, you already know what that means. But in case you're not familiar, punitive damages are damages in addition to the other compensation awarded that are ordered specifically to punish the defendant. It was determined that these punitive damages would be in the amount of $2.7 million, as this is the equivalent of what McDonald's makes in 2 days of coffee sales. Just coffee sales. And they were trying to give her $800. Despite stating that McDonald's had been, quote, "willful, wanton, and reckless," unquote, the trial judge eventually reduced the punitive damages to $480,000. The case was appealed by both sides, and the parties later settled for a confidential amount. So we don't actually know how much she was given at the end of the day. Initially, though, for Liebeck, it did look, like she had received justice. Her medical expenses were covered, and the McDonald's in her local Albuquerque area even started serving coffee at the much lower temperature of 158 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
All she ever wanted in this whole thing were her expenses paid and to ensure something tragic like this never happened to anyone else ever again. For those of us that now know all the details of this case, we know that it was not a frivolous lawsuit. We know that this wasn't a case of jackpot justice. But for the world at large, that was not the case. Rather, it was projected in the media as woman spills coffee on herself, wins $3 million. Mm-hmm. Stella Liebeck became the butt of every joke and punchline for every comedian. Because my husband is a Seinfeld fanatic, you know this, right?
Of course I do.
Alex, on a nearly daily basis, whenever something happens, he's always, there's a Seinfeld reference for that. And then, I get to hear about the Seinfeld reference. Yeah. But because I, by association, have now watched a lot of Seinfeld, the episode where they too poke fun at Liebeck comes to mind. I don't know if you've seen it, but Kramer sues this coffee company called Java World because he spills his hot coffee on himself it's really outrageous. He had shoved the coffee underneath his jacket while he's sneaking into a movie theater with it.
Okay.
They're poking fun at her and saying it was 100% her fault that she spilled his coffee on herself. ABC News was quoted as saying of Liebeck's case, it was the, quote, "poster child of excessive lawsuits."
No.
A CBS News correspondent said, quote, "I've been thinking of quitting work here and suing big companies for a living instead. Suing has become a popular American pastime, and I'd like to get in on some of that easy money."
Listen, I can acknowledge that there's some truth to that statement that people in the US it's notorious for people sue each other constantly about the stupidest shit. Mm-hmm. It's true. Mm-hmm. This case, after hearing about it, is not
that case.
It's not excessive in any way.
No. And I think something that you're saying too just made me think of another case that was really making people think that we needed tort reform, because there was a case of, again, not in my notes, and I wish I had included this, so not all my details are going to be 100% accurate. But there was a woman who she ends up suing her own family, her own nephew or something, because because of some incident that happened, she ends up breaking her leg or something. And it was like kind of her nephew's fault. I don't recall exactly what happened. And that's what gets projected, right? Like, that's a crazy frivolous lawsuit. But if you actually look, or like, how dare she do something like that to family? When you look into the case, the only reason she did that, like, she and her family were on the same side of things. The only reason she did that is because that was the only way that her family's insurance would be able to pay for it. Does that make sense? Was to go through all these legalities of like, damn it, I have to like sue my sister or my brother or whatever, because then they can help, their insurance can pay for my broken leg.
Yeah.
You see? And so, but it's the way that when it's projected in the media, like, woman sues her own nephew for breaking her leg. No, she needed the family's insurance, and the family was on board with that. They wanted that resolution.
Yeah.
Politicians also jumped on board, with a former U.S. representative from Ohio saying, quote, "If a lady goes to a fast food restaurant, puts coffee in her lap, burns her legs, and sues and gets a big settlement, that in and of itself is enough to tell you why we need tort reform," unquote.
Again, my thing is, if it truly is excessive, then they wouldn't be awarded this much in the
jury
long
wouldn't
run.
have found.
A jury wouldn't have found what they were claiming to be true.
I think that's a great point. And I think if you're sitting on the jury, you saw those pictures of her. Those like severe burns, and how do you ever get over that?
Yeah.
And you hear people from McDonald's saying like, "Oh, we've only severely burned 700 people. We're amazing." Yeah.
So bad.
It's bad. In the decades following the lawsuit, that's exactly what they attempted to do. Like, corporate lawyers took to intentionally spreading misinformation about the case in an effort to dissuade average American consumers from suing large corporations. Groups like Citizens Against Lawsuit Abuse were created, which they state on their website that, quote, "trial lawyers hijacking our civil justice system are costing American families additional tax dollars, while frivolous lawsuits are cutting jobs and clogging the courts," unquote. Quite a cause to stand behind.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's your mission statement? Jesus. Oh, we're going on to 3 sentences now. Okay. Liebeck's own daughter said she got into arguments with random people who would fight her on the facts of the case. She would say to them, "What if I told you that she wasn't driving when she spilled the coffee on herself?" And people would literally fight back and say, "No, she was driving." Like, with her daughter. She's like, "I kind of know the facts of the case. She's my mother, and I took care of her after this happened to her."
Yeah.
Despite the predictions of all these lawyers and politicians and other public figures at the time that a wave of frivolous lawsuits would follow the McDonald's hot coffee case, statistics actually show that over the course of the following 2 decades, the number of personal injury lawsuits have actually significantly declined, as have the settlement payout amounts. Liebeck passed away on August 5th, 2004 at the age of 91. She continued to suffer for the rest of her life with the injuries she sustained as a result of the 1992 coffee incident.
Oh my gosh.
In fact, according to her daughter, it was her injuries that led to her having, quote, "no quality of life," unquote, toward the end.
I'm sure that this is impossible to find, and maybe it's very personal, but like, I'm curious to know like why it continued to cause her pain and issues.
I don't know. I'm not a medical professional, but I think with a lot of the time with skin grafting, like it's not permanent, or like you do have to kind of continue to go like maintenance.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, it burned her. Like, if you look at those pictures, again, not a medical professional, it almost looks like it's like burned down to the bone almost. Like, I just can imagine in between your legs, your groin, your butt, for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
It's so horrible. I wish I could report that McDonald's has significantly changed their ways as a result of this case, but I mean, they haven't. So they do serve coffee nowadays at roughly 180 degrees Fahrenheit. So while this is cooler than what they used to sell it at, it still continues to be hotter than any other coffee served at any other establishment within the industry.
That's just weird.
I think that there must be some money. I mean, I don't understand coffee either. Not a coffee professional.
Well, no, it definitely goes bad over time, but I just don't see how we used to, when we would brew coffee at the coffee place I used to work at, we actually had timers on them for like 2 hours. So if you didn't go through that coffee in 2 hours, you just dumped it. But
if you had kept it hotter, if you had started it hotter?
Oh, I have no idea. I don't know the science behind that.
But if you had started it at a hotter place, would it have kept it fresher for 3 hours instead while it was like declining?
But it's just like, why is that worth it? An extra hour of coffee doesn't seem worth it. I don't know.
Money hungry.
I don't know.
At the end of the day, there's a difference between hot and too hot. And McDonald's was well aware that their coffee was too hot. Rather than an example of a frivolous lawsuit, the McDonald's hot coffee case represents a perfect example of businesses being punished for their dangerous practices and the protections provided to consumers when they become the victim of greedy corporations. Finally, I think it's important, or at least interesting to mention, that during my research for this episode, I read an article from the Pool Law Group that actually drew a lot of parallels in their article between the McDonald's hot coffee case and none other than the explosive history of the Ford Pinto.
What?
Yeah, which we've mentioned a couple times that we covered it a few weeks ago on the podcast. If you haven't checked out that episode, definitely head back in our episode archives and check out episode 84 because it provides yet another example of a wealthy, and for the most part trusted, corporation knowingly providing a dangerous product to unsuspecting consumers because it would cost them more to actually fix the problem than it would to just pay off the damages after the fact.
Dang, girl.
Attorney out. Thank you all so much for listening to this episode of #History.
We will share the picture that we discussed on the episode to our Instagram, and all sources used to put together the episode can be found on our website at #history-pod.com.
Subscribe to us on whatever podcast platform you use, share about us with your family and friends, and then give us a rating review.
And be sure to check us out on our socials. You can find us on Instagram at #history_podcast, where we are most active. We also have TikTok. You can find us on there at #history. And we're also on Twitter at #history_.
But you won't hear from us much over there.
Or on TikTok, really.
Yeah. Just find us on Instagram.
Find us on Instagram at #history_podcast.
See you there. And also come join us over on Patreon, where for as little as $1 a month, you can help support our books and booze supply. You also get access to behind the scenes content. We post weekly #hangout episodes, and we mail you cards and stickers.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye. All right. Rip my Fitbit off. Fitbit my Fitbit. If my Fitbit Bitness. I've been using fitness in my everyday life too much.
You definitely were like businesses.
I actually, this whole section right here makes me laugh because I was like reviewing this right before I came over.
Mm-hmm.
And I told Alex, I was like, because that last line, I really liked it, right?
Yeah.
Protections provided to consumers.
Yeah, no, that was good.
So I was like, he's like sitting next to me. I'm like, I should be a lawyer. Listen to this. And then I start that paragraph. I was like, at the end of the day, there's a difference between hot and too hot. And he was like,
yeah,
that's your argument. It's like, and McDonald's coffee, and McDonald's was well aware that their coffee was too hot. He's like, yeah, great argument. It's like, no, it's the second half.
Yeah,
that's
get
really
ready.
Good. Yeah, that was just the precursor. There's a difference between hot and too hot.
Really? Yeah, good job, Rachel.
Good argument.
Yeah.
Good job. You're right.